WadFam Chalk Pod is a presentation of the Lidditz Podcast Co-op. This show is a fan podcast and has no official affiliation with Adventures in Odyssey or Focus on the Family. As such, the copyright is ours under Creative Commons. Follow the podcast at WadFam Chalk Pod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. Aloha Oi Part 2 was hosted by Andrew Sabo and Dylan Weaver, and edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haverstick, hoping you'll join us again next time for more of the WadFam Chalk Pod.
Hello and welcome to the WadFam Chalk Pod. I'm Andrew Sabo.
And I'm Dylan Weaver.
The roles are still reversed.
Indeed they are.
As previously mentioned, today we are here to cover episode number 257 of Adventures in Odyssey, Aloha Oi Part 2.
It's the second part of Aloha Oi.
Not the third, because there are three.
Yeah, don't let it be fooled by the clean conclusion that this episode comes to. There is a third one.
I love the closure we get at the end of this part too. It's very satisfying. Well, I mean, we don't really have any cast to cover for this episode, correct?
No, I mean technically not. Shout out to Phil Lawler as Captain Quid.
He's really doing a lot.
We'll talk about it later, but I guess we can mention off the top that's
he definitely
Phil.
His voice is much more present in this episode. I wish you could see Dylan's facial expression right now. Yeah. So, fun fact, this episode actually, Dylan, before I spew my fun fact, would you mind rolling the promo for me?
Oh, sure. Just a note, this is the promo for parts 2 and 3.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
One had its own promo, but 2 and 3 get a combo.
Coming up next time on Adventures in Odyssey, the Barclay Rathbone Hawaii vacation is not exactly going well. George and family only want to relax, while Bart wants to see everything. That is, unless he has to pay for it. And to make matters worse, Rodney is convinced he can win Donna's heart. Will the families learn how to have fun without trying to kill each other? Find out on the next Adventures in Odyssey.
Now, if that wasn't the Sunny D of promotions, I don't know what is. That was delightful.
Sunny D of promotions.
What's your feelings about Sunny D, Dylan?
You know, I like it.
I do too. It's
I
good.
feel bad that I like it, but I
it's
do
not
like it.
Real. Like,
Right.
there is no D citrus that gets squeezed for Sunny D.
Were you intentionally saying Sunny D, which is delightful? Because, like, that's what the D used to be, was Sunny Delight. And then it was shortened to Sunny D.
I think I may exist pre-Sunny Delight, or I have memory of it, like, I can imagine the label in my mind, but I don't.
Okay.
It was always Sunny
That
D.
was just a Freudian slip.
Yes. Did I say Sunny Delight?
No, you said Sunny D, which is delightful. And I was like, does Andrew realize what he just did? Because yes, it used to be Sunny Delight.
Continuing with consistent
and then
trends, Andrew
it
doesn't
to Sunny
know.
D.
A wonderful promotion. Big fan. Great music in this episode altogether. And we'll obviously get into the specifics of that as we go along. Fun fact about this. So the beginning of this episode was an alternate take of the closing scene of the previous episode, which I haven't gone back to examine the dialogue, how it lines up, if it's like it's previously established what's happening in the end of part 1, and they restate it again in the beginning of part 2 needlessly, even though it's supposed to be, continuous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but they were airing week to week. Like, TV shows do this sort of thing all the time, where it's like, where they will cut to commercial, then come back, and you'll see the same scene again. But sometimes we'll do it with a different take.
Interesting.
Like, it's the kind of thing that, like, you don't ever think about if you were watching it on television, but as soon as it's on streaming and you're watching something old, and you're like,
wait a minute.
Wait. Or the, like, cliffhanger ending, where then it comes back and it's a slightly different version.
Can you give me like an example off the top? Like, does
I
Seinfeld do
wish
that?
I could. Probably not. Seinfeld doesn't do the cut to commercial, come back in on the same thing. Like they're edited to commercial. It's gonna be most like, I feel like CW shows are where you're
okay.
gonna run into this. Like your
Flashes, arrows.
Oh no, I was thinking like
Riverdale.
back. No, not modern, because we're
That's
in
all
a streaming
streaming,
world.
yeah.
So no, like your Smallvilles, your Dawson's Creek, maybe a Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
Probably not a Gilmore Girls. I feel like I'd remember that. But like kind of the like melodramatic, we're ending on like a bum bum bum, and then we're coming back on a dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Like
just
yeah.
same notes, different key.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. I did not know that was a common occurrence.
Yeah.
Fun little tidbit.
Yep.
This episode centers around family togetherness, if you haven't gathered. And before we get into the contents of today's episode, I did a little bit of research on family togetherness because I didn't know. It seems like a lot of hogwash that this could be a family togetherness experience or something like that.
Because this episode, they're specifically
not
separated.
together. Yeah.
That's the premise.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I failed in my attempt to nitpick their themes. This one actually kind of works out. I looked at a couple like academic studies that were done. So if like family, they mentioned specifically family prayer. Family prayer time is a huge developer of family togetherness and unity. And for a bunch of really cool different reasons, because it provides support to a lot of different aspects of human needs. In this instance, for this episode, we don't really get a whole lot of that intimacy. It does come across more of like just kind of a collective trauma or something of the like.
Hey, man, that can bring people together.
Oh, it has. It has. Ask me and half my friends, most of my friends. Dylan, were we brought together by trauma?
We can talk about that off mic.
Okay, sounds good. But yeah, it was very interesting because it was
The trauma of listening to this show.
every week. Dylan gets flashbacks. You think the intro's fun. It lives in Dylan's nightmares. Have you ever had a sleep paralysis demon sound like your own voice?
I was joking about the trauma of Adventures in Odyssey, not the trauma of making this show, but that's funny too.
Yeah, just a little self-deprecation there. It's not concerning at all. Anyway, back to...
It's like the Castles and Cauldrons trauma is what brought us together.
Yes. I think that is very
The
true.
trauma of Dr. Regis Blackguard.
And the wonderful
Remember
Nobobot.
we had that
Nobobot.
great segment about the different ways in which people say
Say
blackguard,
blackguard,
blackguard.
blackguard.
That was a good
good bit.
portion of the show.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm proud of that in retrospect.
Go back, edit it out. Maybe put some visuals on it and throw it up on TikTok. I think that it'd do great.
Listener, do it for me.
Yeah.
You want to be an unpaid intern of the Wad Fam Jackpot?
If I had any ounce of knowledge as to how to create a good TikTok, I would totally do it because it's like the perfect platform for incredibly niche content like this. Anyway, back to what I was saying that was actually academic and smart.
Wait. You know how TikTok started out with people like voice syncing to Rick and Morty or whatever?
Yeah, pretty much.
Just that, but Adventures in Odyssey?
100%, yeah. We can do some, like, really dramatic makeup. We can cosplay as different Adventures in Odyssey characters. We can stitch with fans, with the squad.
I really don't understand TikTok, people.
Me neither. I mean, I use it all the time, but I don't understand it.
I don't use it. Andrew sent me an SNL announcement via TikTok, and I'm still mad about it.
I'm sorry, man. It was the first place I saw it, and it was John Mulaney and LCD Sound System. I got excited on your behalf.
But it's a video of the SNL bulletin board,
yes.
which has two things written on it. Just type those two things out to me.
You know, you make a valid
point. A video of a picture of text.
In a text. Not even on its native platform. You had to go to another app to open that video of a piece of paper.
Look, it just opened in Chrome. I don't have TikTok installed.
Yeah. Well, I have TikTok installed, and if I open a link, it always opens in Chrome.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe they just don't have a good link handler on Android, because you know who else doesn't? Letterboxd. I'm constantly salty about it.
Really?
Letterboxd links, even if you are in Letterboxd and you click a Letterboxd link, it opens in Chrome every time.
Wow, that's niche social media, huh? That's the hill you like so much.
I do. It's worth it. I'd rather this than not, but
fair.
Yeah. Hey, if you wanna fix your link handling, Letterboxd, and you're listening to this podcast,
you should be. You've got 2 avid users that make a podcast.
Yeah. I'm yes.
We are the only Letterboxd users that have a podcast. I'm pretty sure most Letterboxd.
I think every Letterboxd user has at least been on a podcast.
Yeah.
Those Venn diagrams are one circle.
Yeah, definitely. Can I say that family togetherness and studies of family prayer reduce materialistic tendencies? I just think it's interesting. There's a positive correlation between how much time you pray together as a family and how materialistic you are as a person.
Cool.
So that's pretty interesting.
I mean, I do like that.
In the context of this episode.
My word.
That's the shoehorn of shoehorns for something completely irrelevant at this point.
Hey, I mean, you know, we're good. This is what the show is.
It's what it's supposed to be.
Andrew's got the thing he cares about. I've got the stuff I care about. We talk about it for an hour.
Mm-hmm. You guys listen.
Yep.
Are we comfortable? Never mind. I'm not going to get into the guys as a gender neutral thing.
I am very comfortable with it and will stand by it.
Yeah, me too. And yeah. I suggest an expansion to sir. I think sir could be gender neutral, polite.
I use sir gender neutrally as well. I have been using sir a lot more in my life, I feel like, and especially in text messages. Mm-hmm. And I have recently started crossing that line into being like, yeah, I can send that to a woman and it's fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
Because I'm not gonna say ma'am.
Yeah. I do yes'em sometimes if I feel colorful. A yes'em, but
yeah,
no. Yes,
like,
sir.
You guys is the like Northeast equivalent to y'all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't have y'all. We've got you guys. Northwest, and I guess just the West in general, has folks. Mm-hmm. I also really like folks.
Folks is great.
And I work folks in a lot, but my default is still going to be guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. I mean, it's definitely culturally driven. I, in food service, obviously give people beverages and everything. You have to address them politely, or at least I do, because it's instinct. And I just call everybody sir, because you never have to worry about misgendering somebody.
Yeah.
And it works out pretty well, except for when the old ladies get offended, and then you act like you didn't mean to say sir, and you say, oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am. But otherwise, you get off.
Yeah, like,
clean.
yeah, you might. Yeah, I would say if it's someone who's significantly older, that's an easier call to make.
Yeah,
to switch
yes,
to ma'am.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable calling them sir.
All right. That being all our pronoun talk out of the way, let's get into the episode. So, Dylan, how does this episode begin from your memory?
With my blood boiling?
With wheezing?
Look, I am not ready to throw this 3-parter out the window, but last episode I found a bit grating. This episode, not a lot that redeemed it for me.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
'Cause
I haven't listened to these in forever. And while the jokes hold up, that part just doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I hate Don Iowa.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like,
Iowa.
I will never.
It's just funny because I think Jimmy calls him Iowa in this one.
Yes. Yes, he does. He corrects him.
Yeah.
And then Bart keeps calling him like Iowa or something. Like
Yeah.
Bart comes up with a third way to say it because he's Bart.
Yes.
Um,
And his contract. Yeah, out with Mr. Bad Air, in with Mr. Good Air. You are from Iowa, my good sir.
yeah.
Out with Mr. Bad Air, in with Mr. Good Air.
Andrew, you doing it does not make it better.
It's not good. I thought it was hilarious as a child. Obviously, I didn't have cultural sensitivity at the age of 7.
Sure. I don't want to be this guy. But if it were funnier, I would be less frustrated.
Oh, yeah. No, they don't do a good job.
The fact that it's
No,
not
it's the lowest of low-hanging fruit.
like the fact that I think we talked about this last episode. If the joke was, look at this schmuck who is appropriating culture and look at how much of an idiot he makes of himself, I'm fully in.
Mm-hmm.
But when the joke is, here's this guy appropriating this culture, isn't that culture funny?
Yeah. It's bad.
It's gonna miss for me every time, guys.
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to condemn this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I wish it wasn't so much of the episode.
Yeah. I would like to issue a public apology.
No. But like,
I love
one,
these episodes.
I think it's good to interrogate. Two, it's not. Yeah, I don't want to say like it sinks the ship and whatever. And we talked about
No, the ship sinks itself. That's later.
spoilers. And we talked about last episode of like, it's not like it's of a specific time and era in which like I don't want to. I think that there should still be accountability and we still need to talk about it. Mm-hmm. But I think as far as condemnation goes, I think that there is room for us to have a little bit more grace and
well, understand that that's the way that they thought then, and a lot of what I is presented about this episode was that it is like paying homage to the classic vacation episodes of TV shows like the Brady Bunch, which were notorious for having, culturally appropriated side characters that came in to add color, literal color to their cast.
fair.
So, it doesn't exactly have good bones.
Unlike Andrew.
Yeah, my bones are stupendous. And the Wrath bones, they're going with Mr. EOA.
Wow, nice. Good
segue.
transition. Except that, like, I gotta talk about. So, Rodney's like talking up, like, hey, to Donna, like, hey, wasn't it so cool my surfing or whatever? Mm-hmm. And Donna is not impressed at all with Rodney. Mm-hmm. Also doesn't seem to understand, as we find out like later, doesn't seem to understand what Rodney is trying to do at this point.
No.
Which, sure, I guess.
All right.
But she is very impressed with Don, which just made me think like ski instructor, now like lifeguard.
100%.
Like Donna Barkley has a type.
Oh, yeah.
And it is unfortunately not me.
I mean, you're still young. You could become a ski instructor. I feel... If you told me that ski instructors got mad tail, I would not question it. I'd be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Lots of people learn how to ski, lots of different ages,
Yep. And now we're into the dodgy territory about talking about Donna Barkley.
Yeah. Nope.
So
we're going to dip right out of that.
Yep.
All hypotheticals are over the age of 18 and consenting.
Amen.
Yeah.
Unless I am hypothetically
Under the age of 18. Ideally, I'm 15, she's 17, but
Look, Andrew will never date a younger woman, guys.
It's
just
already
established this
happened
year.
once. 1 out of 6.
Good job.
Thanks, man. I was really pushing.
I mean, hey, technically I'm 0 out of 1, so
Yeah. Oof.
I'm happy, folks. I
He
know that
is.
sounds like a bit, but I am very happy.
Dylan is a wonder. Truly.
All right, anyways.
So Mr. Iowa is going to set up the feast, and the Rathbones go along with to basically harass him about the agenda. Because as the promo mentioned, they want to go off the beaten path.
Right.
Yeah, so we get the Rodney and Donna scene. This is clarified from last episode. He was not standing up on the board. He was
Correct.
riding it on his hands and knees.
Yep, as the artwork shows.
Which would, in fact, make hanging 10 impossible, unfortunately. So.
10 fingers are still 10, right?
Oh. Interesting. Yes. Never surfed in my life? Yes. Yeah, so then Donna, disinterested, wants to go swimming. Presumably, the flap is going down for swimming. It's been up for tanning. It was down talking to Rodney, stays down to go in the ocean. Just keeping tabs on that.
It's important. We gotta make sure that that Donna
modesty
is modest.
Modesty is protected. Yeah, and so then the next scene is the Bonsai Corp feast, which has great ambient music that is stereotypical and whatever.
Nothing is more disappointing. No, I think I agree with the statement. Nothing is more disappointing in this episode than Don going, hit it, and it coming in quietly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's
slow. Like, he goes, hit it.
Hit it,
And
boys.
the music comes in slow and quiet.
Yeah.
Why?
It's like somebody yelling hit it before opening curtain at like a musical theater where you're like, why would you do that if it's just gonna be like 30 minutes of establishing characters?
Like, it's almost the way the music functions in this scene is like the scene transition music.
Yeah.
It almost feels like he said hit it and then we jumped ahead a scene.
A bit, yes. and if
I
he
don't
did,
understand
I wouldn't
why.
be surprised.
But like, I don't know.
Donnie Yoe
Maybe
is
this episode is so short because they cut a scene. But if so, why?
Yeah.
Because your episode is very short.
It is. It's 20 minutes? 1950?
I think it's 19, and it doesn't. There is no meat on the bones of this episode.
No, there's no outro.
There was a little bit
there's
of
no-
something on last episode felt like an episode. I don't know. This is just some like
interstitial or
yeah.
yeah.
This whole episode is like C plot. Like, well,
Unfortunately.
or more importantly, there is no A plot.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
Like, we kind of get some setup last episode, and then like kind of nothing happens. In my
because
opinion.
they spread them all out so that they can all have their own adventures, which is cool, except for the fact that if everybody's an A plot, nobody is.
Right. Also,
Incredibles principle.
yes, I know it well, Andrew.
What were you going to say?
I don't know. So it's at this point in the dinner. Oh, I guess they all argue for a while because of the Rathbones renting a car and wanting to go off on their own and drag everyone with them. And then everyone's like, well, we don't want to do that, whatever. And Don's like, hey, it's only a 2-door car, so just the parents are going to go. I'm going to hang out with you kids for the day. And I'm like, cool.
All right.
This works for me.
Yeah.
It is, I guess the assumption is, which I'm here for, obviously, but the assumption is that Rodney and Donna are like old enough to manage fine on their own.
Yeah.
Because Don just like, he's like, I'm going to take care of all the kids. And part of that is me going out on a boat with the other two while the while like Rodney and Donna just like hang
Left
out.
completely unattended.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Rodney like almost dies. If not dies. If we didn't know that he gets written off in album 50, this part 2 might suggest that he floats away and never comes back.
So, right. Well, but first, the most concerned I think I've ever been listening to an episode of Odyssey.
Oh, with Bart walking barefoot across a bed of hot
Rodney talking about it.
coal? Oh, yeah.
There
is no better
I do not
display
remember-
of mind over matter than to walk barefoot across a bed of hot coals.
I was just like sitting there, not knowing what was going to happen, and just going like, do not let Rodney Rathbone walk barefoot across coals. I have been burned by a hot coal.
It's not a good time.
It sucks.
It's
Don't
way
do
hotter
this.
than you think.
What is happening? Also, Rodney just yells out, "Move the spit."
Yep.
And somebody does?
Yeah. I mean, they're the guests of honor, I suppose.
Why? What? Everyone is protesting, and it's just like, no. Two people just like, the waiters come out and they move the spit. So
Well,
that Donnie
Doris
can
doesn't understand what a
walk
spit is.
across a... Man, Doris.
Doris, I hate Doris.
Doris is...
This episode, I think, has actually aged very poorly as far as the amount that... Like, I used to like all of it. Just 100%. It was 60 minutes of pure bliss as a child.
That's a full CD.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was great. Classic for road trips. Classics. I've been skiing listening to this. But
Skiing, listening to not the ski episode.
no, certainly not. No.
But yeah, so it's Rodney talking about like walking across this fire pit and everyone being like, no, don't do it, you absolute idiot.
Yeah. There's
And
no
then-
reason to walk barefoot across a bed of hot coals. And then George yells out, Bart,
Is it
you're...
George who yells it out?
Yeah, I think.
Okay,
yeah.
because I could not tell who yells it out. It does not sound like a voice of anyone
Unless
we
Donnie
know.
Yoe slipped back into his white voice. I'm pretty
It's
sure
just his
George.
voice, Andrew.
Yes.
But
I'm gonna beat my head against a wall.
but then yeah, Bart runs out into the hot coals and grabs it, and I am
The noises he makes.
Yeah.
And the score underneath it is some like Spyro level, I don't know,
Right.
just cartoon comic sounds.
Yep, and the joke here is like Bart
Well, almost no reason.
Right, but the joke is like Bart is. I think it's really funny. Like last episode, there's the whole conversation about like frugality, and that like the Christians in this show are frugal. Bart is a penny pincher who loves money.
Yes.
The result is the same.
Yes. The wives are different.
But the result is the same, but we are like condemning one of these actions and praising the other.
yeah.
And I just think that that's worth interrogating.
Well, and also Bart's financial approach to this vacation is of great concern to me, because presumably all the touristy stuff would have been covered by the trip. So
Sure.
he's spending out-of-pocket money to have a more luxurious experience just readily. He
Yeah.
rents a boat and a car.
But he splits it with George.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's the next day, and they're all heading their own way.
Nice rhyme.
Oh, yeah.
So Lawrence and Jimmy are going with Mr. Ioe to the USS Arizona Memorial at Pearl Harbor, and he tells Donna to go meet Rodney at the boat dock. This isn't before Mr. Ioe feels it necessary to criticize Donna for sleeping in on her vacation, because that's what kids do. That's what people do. Ha ha, joke. Listen, man, get your beauty rest. All right.
I'm sorry. Can we rewind to the point where Andrew said boat dock as though it's not just a dock?
Boat dock.
Isn't every dock a boat dock?
I think you might be right.
I
Well,
kind
I
of
mean,
thought
what
that
about-
that's the point of a dock.
Speedboat dock. Speedboat dock is what he says. So presumably there's a special dock for speedboats.
Okay, that I believe.
That one's on me. This is why Dylan hosts.
Because Andrew will say boat dock.
Instead of speedboat dock. Yeah. So wonderful. They're talking about their parents, saying that they are cruising like the wind in his wonderful, mildly, actually, definitely offensive accent. And it transitions to the parents stuck on the side of the road with a car that won't start. Right. Were you surprised by this happening?
No.
Okay. Did you see it coming? Like, did you think...
I mean, I knew there was no way this was going well.
Fair.
The idea that the car broke down makes sense. It was not... And it wasn't like... I didn't have money on that. But yeah, that's what happens when you rent from a place called Jack's Pretty Good Wheels.
Yeah, they are 45 miles from Honolulu, which is presumably where they're staying. And George goes to find the wives, and
the wives be shopping.
The wives be shopping. Did you know? Look for the stores. Ha 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 ha.
Yep. Yeah.
And then it's a wonderful transition to Doris.
So many lazy jokes this episode.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Like, yes, Bart doesn't like to spend money. The wives, they shop. You know, Doris is racist.
Yeah.
You know, all the stuff.
Yeah.
So funny.
I used to find Doris annoying. Now I think she might ruin this 3-parter for me. I was never a big fan of Doris Rathbone.
How could you be?
Yeah. I mean...
honestly, she's funny last episode.
She was better.
Like, I think I kind of enjoy her dumb shtick last episode.
The showing up with the camera flash I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, and her stealing stuff on the plane works.
Yeah, it was all right.
But
this is bad. So Doris doesn't know how to talk to people. Doris, not very kind to the locals in the flea market, does not know that they are Americans, starts speaking in Spanish to them, which is bad. Not even Spanish, Spanglish.
Yeah, really, really, like, slow down. Hey, I'm gonna, break my own English so you understand it, and then say...
Comprende? Kidding me. Yeah. It's okay, though, because this woman knows what she's about and plays Doris like a fiddle.
I will say, I love this. Like, I think I've, in the last 2 years, for reasons that are clearly unknown, and why would this be the case, I've become even more sensitive to people being horrible to service workers.
Yeah.
Because it's always been a frustration of mine as someone who's also worked that kind of a job.
Exactly.
But it has just gone through the roof over these past 2 years. And I adore this woman for scamming Doris.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it is amazing.
They're $2.50 each, but I'll give you 2 for $5.
Oh, she sells it so well.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like, as a kid, I was like, she actually got a deal. I didn't do the mental math. And,
But no, you're absolutely right. That is the kind of thing that, like, as a kid, you would buy.
Yeah, I was like, oh, wow. My assumption was it was like, she shaved 20 cents off of it, and it's like, aha, minute difference. But no, she actually just charged her full price for both of them.
And she got her to buy 2 instead of 1.
Yeah, it's genius. It's the...
I adore this. But yes, the whole, like, Doris is treating this like she's, like, overseas and has got to, like, you know, barter with these people to gain their respect, when, like, in reality, she's just, like, at a sunglasses hut.
Yep, 100%. Yep, with somebody that speaks her language. Let me tell you what, if she had tried to pull that shenanigans with somebody that didn't speak English, she would probably get the snot kicked out of her. At least in these days.
Yeah, but George and Bart, you know, meet up with them then and explain that, or Bart explains that they can't get the car fixed, but it's fine because they're just gonna sail back, and by sail he means motorboat.
which I'm presuming not a big motorboat.
No, I think this is like one of those yellow life rafts that happens to have an engine on it.
Yeah, the boat that you use to get to a boat, that one.
With they charter a boat from an actual pirate.
Yes, definitely.
Like this is not the first or last time Phil Lawler has done this voice, right? I'm not saying in Odyssey. I'm saying in his life.
Oh, yeah,
Like the
100%.
man came with this in his back pocket.
Oh, yeah.
It is wild. I do not understand it. It doesn't sound like Phil Lawler, so that's impressive.
Yeah.
But boy, is it a insane choice to just be like true old school
Pirate. Yes. Just arg and everything. Like, you know, I mean, I guess presuming he's like an old salty, you know, sea captain in, you know, if he's in his 60s, in the 90s, he was born in the 30s, so still don't feel great about it, but
it's bananas. Like he's a lot.
He's
the man
so much.
Has scurvy.
Yes.
Like
he literally has scurvy. He was an homage to the late actor Robert Shaw from Jaws, who Phil Lawler apparently liked quite a bit. Yeah. Captain Quid, huh? He has some iconic lines that are just seared into my brain. Like a 3-hour tour. A 3-hour tour.
Which that's a Gilligan's Island reference,
Yes,
right? Or something
yes.
like, yeah.
Yeah. That's from the theme song, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah, so then they're all singing on the boat together,
Which
and
I know because of the punk remix in Everybody Wants Some. There's a fantastic scene
yes,
in one of my
yes,
favorite movies
yes.
of all time, Everybody Wants Some, in which they go to a punk show and the band is performing the Gilligan's Island theme. And if that doesn't sell you on that movie, you don't get to listen to the show anymore.
Please go watch Everybody Wants Some. I mean, it is arguably the farthest thing from Christian family media, but it's
But look, it does have found family togetherness, even
yes.
if it doesn't have Christian family togetherness.
yes, it does have found family togetherness, and you get to explore coming of age and all the development that is no stranger to Christians as well. So I think that
And
there
you've
are
got
valuable
a
lessons.
brilliant
that can be
soundtrack, and yeah,
great acting. It's just delightful.
yeah.
What if we just stop this podcast and talk about Everybody Wants Some for the next
I want
15,
to
20
just
minutes?
stop this podcast and go watch it.
Yeah, okay. All right. It hasn't been that long for me, but I'm always willing.
Buddy, you're talking to the guy who watched it twice within like 6 hours one time.
That is bonkers. That's insane.
I watched it. I ate dinner. I went over to hang out with some friends, and I watched it again.
That is a rare occurrence for Dylan. I hope you listeners know that. That this is the closest thing to a 5-star certification you can get from Dylan.
Yeah.
Yes. So as I was mentioning, they then shift into singing on this dinghy.
Captain Quinn is singing.
Row the man
Quid.
down, baby.
Quid. I want to call him
Row
Quinn,
the
but
man
he's
down.
Quid. Whatever.
Yeah, it's bad. And then he's criticizing their rhythm. He goes, rhythm, rhythm, and now everybody's singing out of key, and it transitions to Iowa and Jimmy and Lawrence at Pearl Harbor.
I'm sorry. I have breaking news here.
Please do tell.
He comes back.
Captain Quid?
Captain Quid comes back
What? When?
in an Adventures in Odyssey Club episode from 2018 where Wit, Eugene, and Wooten are fishing in Florida. Quid is back.
I know what we're covering in 2 weeks. We've got to cover the Captain Quid arc.
And then And then on the Trial by Fire album, which includes The Long End, or one of the, whatever, the last of the ones we covered from the Buck arc. On the episode BTV Trinity, he is also...
Captain Quaid is a character on BTV Trinity? What? What? This has got to be like a bit with Phil Lawler's family that just gets dragged in. Like, oh, Dad's acting like a pirate again. Arrgh, I don't know what you're talking about. Clean your room.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Do we have to cover Out to Sea? BTV Trinity is its own whatever.
Yes.
Do we have to cover Out to Sea now?
I mean, have to. I feel an implicit calling from the Lord.
This is insane.
This is insane.
I am losing my mind.
It's like 28 years after his original debut. Don't get distracted, Dylan, because you'll miss out on all the historical trauma from the World War II.
Okay. Yeah. No, you make a good point. I got way to bring me back in.
So they're at Pearl Harbor at the USS Arizona Memorial. Donnie Oe is going into just the history of Pearl Harbor and, obviously the tragedy of what happened and how it got the U.S. involved in World War II, which the U.S. was already involved in it, but it just made us put boots on the ground. But, who's checking? And then they continue to mention the thousands of crew members that were trapped aboard a ship that sank in a harbor and were stuck and died. And then they just transition right out of it.
Yeah. I would also like to point out that this is a thing that we brush up against from time to time, which is the not covering history episodes, but they have done multiple Pearl Harbor episodes because
there's the one with Whit's friend who was at Pearl Harbor.
Well, so Connie's uncle was at Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah.
But there was somebody else that was a friend of Whit that came in and then was talking about Pearl Harbor.
I mean, I believe it. There's a lot of, yeah.
Interesting. Another strange thing. So Lawrence is super excited about being at the War Memorial Base, saying it's the best thing ever. And Don Iowa continues to say that a slice of grapefruit with papaya on top is his idea of the best thing ever. Fruit stacking. Interesting take.
I hate that bit.
Yeah. It's not even really a bit. It just happens in the background, and I swear to God, I.
But it's a joke. Like, he's doing it as a joke.
Yes,
he's like, oh yeah, that's not as good. Doesn't sound as good to me as all this fruit combined, which actually wouldn't be as good as this thing with peanut butter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Boy.
So then we cut to Rodney and Donna. Rodney is going parasailing,
which I will point out. The safest thing he has done up to this point.
Oh, yeah. Parasailing.
Like, aside from when Donna sabotages him. Mm-hmm. But if he is just going out parasailing,
yeah,
he's in good shape.
Oh, yeah. Also, the immediate red flag that came up to me was, how the heck is he paying for this?
I don't know. He probably, stole some kids' lunch money.
Fair.
He's Rodney Rathbun.
Fair. I only know my modern perspective on events such as that, which cost a lot of money.
Sure.
So for a 15 or 16-year-old to walk up and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to spend $700 on parasailing for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fair. But I didn't think about it.
I
don't do anything that would be considered scary.
Fair. Except for watch horror movies sometimes.
Yeah. But horror adjacent.
Mm-hmm. So Donna is trying to stop him before he gets hurt. She says, "You don't have to do all this for me. I know that you're just trying to win my heart. That's not about it. Like, I know I said things on the plane that hurt your feelings." And Rodney's like, You couldn't hurt my feelings. I'm a man. Let me do this parasailing thing." And they're like in the process of getting buckles undone, presumably, when the boat takes off. And so Donna then runs to somebody else who's in charge and tells him about what's going on, that he's not completely buckled in. The boat that he's on does not have doesn't have like a walkie or anything on it, so they can't contact him. So they have to get on the boat and chase Rodney down.
It's true.
Real thrilling.
Why does Rodney have a radio in his headset and this man does not have a radio on the boat? That literally makes no sense.
It's spelled PLOT space CONVENIENCE.
Fact check that, Chuck. Plot.
Did I spell convenience right? I don't know.
I thought you were just going to stop at plot and then you decided to commit.
Well, you know.
But yeah, it is a, yeah.
It happens.
Sure.
And then we cut back to the boat.
If he had said the radio isn't working, I would have been like, negligent, but whatever.
Mm-hmm. They don't have one.
They don't have a radio.
And then it's established that it's the faster boat.
Right.
Like, it's the
faster
nice boat.
Doesn't have a radio. Once again, I could be fine, except that there's a radio in Rodney's helmet.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Which, fun for comedy, bad for plot.
Sure, exactly. And I will say, Steve Burns doing some A+ yelling in this episode.
Oh, yeah. He is top-notch yeller, especially as Rodney.
Yeah.
So then we go back to
a seasick Bart.
Yeah.
Which I have never related to Bart until now.
Yeah.
I don't do well. I get a lot of motion sickness. Mm-hmm. I was on a boat in Maine for a whale watch and was like nearly catatonic. It was terrible.
It's interesting that you should say that because I've never been seasick except for when I went on a whale watch in Maine. And I wasn't violently seasick. I was just like, I've been on a boat for a while. I would like some ground, please.
I was like curled up in a ball, clutching a rail.
Oh, buddy.
Just focusing on my breathing.
Oh, buddy, I'm sorry. Did you at least see any whales?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. What kind? Do you remember? No. Oh. I like whales.
It's also the only time I've been in Canada.
Ah, how about that?
Because we have crossed the border on a boat. And I guess it's legal. Huh. So, because I didn't have my passport on me.
Were the sea police checking passports for the whale watchers?
But my phone was like, hey, you're in Canada now. Don't text anyone unless you want to pay us a lot of money.
Fair. So they got you in the ways that matter. You couldn't contact anyone. So amidst the seasickness on the tiny dinghy, Doris breaks out pork rinds, which she also has bacon dip.
Yep.
In her purse.
Yeah. Pork rinds are like a Rathbone family staple. What is a pork rind, Andrew?
I don't really know.
I only know it from this show.
I've seen them. I know what they look like. They're very, like, imagine onion rings without the onion inside-esque, but as a chip.
But why pork? Are they pork flavored?
They've got to be. I've never had them. Okay. I have no clue.
Yeah. But also, doesn't... Shaw is... Or not Shaw. Man, now I'm doing the thing. Quid is also very into the pork rinds.
Oh, yes. Oh, he loves the pork rinds. And the bacon dip, too.
Yep.
And then the boat dies.
Yep.
And Quid goes to make some minor engine adjustments, which sounds a lot like tapping and kicking.
Right. Well, yeah, he right. To start the boat initially, he kicks it.
Yes.
And then in this scene, he is beating it up, and then he pulls a cord, and it's the wrong one. And they're like, well, I thought you said your boat stopped a lot. He's like, yeah, I pull the wrong cord a lot, too.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
but you pulled the wrong cord. That happens all the time too. Yep, and that's when Miss Doris breaks out the bacon dip. And then we go right back to Donna pursuing Rodney in a boat. This is where it's established that they can talk to Rodney through his helmet, which makes perfect sense. No plot holes there. And you just hear a lot of screaming. And it's top-notch screaming. It's really funny. The audio engineering's fantastic. You can really, like... You get the distance between his mouth and the mic very well, I feel like. In a way that is sometimes hard to convey. Yeah. And then Rodney starts messing with his ropes, and Donna is with the officer telling him not to, that it will mess things up and he'll make things worse. And then he says, wait, I think I've almost got it. And then he does not got it.
Yep.
His tow line went slack, and he's presumably floating away from the boat. Yeah. Presumably. Because parasailing is when you're, like, you've got a parachute and you're towed behind a boat, yes?
Right. So he's got to fall first, right? Or you're saying, oh, he's parasailing when you're on the board? Behind the boat?
No, parasailing...
Yeah, you're just up in the air.
Yeah, you're gliding.
Right. So, you're saying you think he's floating through the air?
I mean, for a time, before he hits the ground.
Right, I guess it is a parachute.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Or...
Fair.
Either that, or his tow line went slack and they have no control over him, so he's just absolutely...
Well, I was just expecting tow
around.
line goes slack and you just crash into the water immediately.
Yeah. I imagined a slow Kirby-esque
might
float
be
to the
right.
ground.
That's good.
Thank you.
And then we jump over to the final scene of the episode, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which is...
The horrors of war at,
Yep.
at the
Horrors.
at the USS Arizona Memorial.
Yep.
Talking about Lawrence's dad and the fact that he's been to Hawaii many times. He works in special communications.
I will say, like, the floating memorial sounds cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'd go visit that. I tend to like museum-y stuff.
Big
As
fan of
long
it.
as
I
I'm
even
not,
like war memorials,
as long
too.
as I'm not, like, trapped there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the genuine horror of them talking about, like, there were people trapped there for, like, a month that they couldn't get to.
Yeah.
Nothing has ever sounded worse.
Right? That definitely went in one ear and out the other as a child. Now I'm like, that is my new idea of hell, is being trapped in a boat right next to civilization that can't save you.
Andrew's hell, very wet.
Very wet. Yeah. I do well with the guy from Shape of Water, but that's about all my company in wet hell.
Well, but yeah, no, that is
yeah,
truly horrifying.
Then they see a battleship across the harbor, and it looks like Lawrence's dad is standing on the ship deck. Dun dun dun. Dylan totally didn't call this.
And my prediction is, I am putting money on it is actually Lawrence's dad. I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It could just be. It would also work for the show for it just to be some random person and Lawrence's hopes to be dashed. But I am going to land in camp. It's Lawrence's dad, but maybe they get in trouble for going to see him. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what angle this show is going to take, because it's been an episode of fun setup and then an episode of frustrating nothing. And I'm like, how do we bring this home?
To be honest, I completely forget. I don't remember. I know...
Because
I know things I can't tell you, but
Don's just like, hey, we can just go across there and see them because
the ship's on Liberty because it's not stationed.
Yep, which cool. And
wonderful context. Yeah, and he says, "Let's break like the wind," which is just great.
Yeah,
and that's where the episode ends.
Yeah, which I don't know. Maybe break like the wind was less of a I don't know. Run like the wind is only exists to me because of Toy Story 2.
Fair.
As a phrase, and this is 5 years before that. So
Interesting. Well, that being said, Dylan, do you have any closing thoughts on this episode? Do you have anything that's just on your heart you'd like to share?
No, I think I got it all out. Like, it's fine. It's a little exhausting.
This one is much more exhausting than I liked part 1 a lot. Part 1 was about what I remembered it to be.
Yeah.
This
Part
was
1,
very disappointing.
Yeah. Yep. I'm hoping that they can kind of land it. I think I don't particularly like any of the character dynamics that we have paired up aside from Donna and Rodney, which I think is truly the fun part of this episode.
Yeah.
I think Lawrence and Jimmy get nothing to do.
No.
And all things Bart and and they also are stuck with Don, who is a train wreck. And then all things Bart and
Doris.
Yeah, are frustrating.
Boris
and
Rathbone.
That's fair. And Captain Quid is such a wild swing that I kind of respect it.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, I always thought that Quid was funny. But we've been making this podcast for 3 years.
Yeah. He says blimey at one point.
Yes, he does.
Which is not piratey, even slightly.
Nope.
But Phil sells it with so much conviction that I'm like, yeah, you're right. I probably would say blimey.
Quid says blimey. Maybe Shaw said blimey, and he was picking it up from that. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't seen Jaws. It's on my list of shame.
Yeah. Wow, that is astonishing to me.
Have you seen Jaws?
Yeah, multiple times, yes.
Okay.
But like that was one of those movies that. But I guess you haven't seen Jurassic Park either.
Correct.
Yeah. Same category of historical film that my parents were like, "You watch this now."
Right. Yeah.
And like it.
Yeah, I don't think either of those were particularly important to my parents, and. Yeah, were not ones that were foisted upon me. They're on my list of shame. They're the kind of movies that if they ever hit the cinema, I will go see them. Like I'll go out of my way to go see that because like I like to do that. But yeah, I do feel
interesting.
Mild.
Well, I feel like you're probably more likely to see Jaws in theaters. I feel like it comes back.
I mean, both of them are
semi-regularly.
huge movies.
True.
Directed by Steven Spielberg with a monster.
He does
that
like his
are
monsters.
Famous and feel like they will both come back.
Certainly.
With a lot of regularity. I missed an opportunity to see both of them at the drive-in theater during the pandemic. I feel like I might have texted you about that.
Yeah, I think you might have.
Anyways, that's fine. Anything else
for drive-ins? That's my plug this week is drive-ins.
Drive-in theaters. Hey, find out if you've got one near you. There are a lot more now since COVID, which rocks.
Yeah, it's great. A lot of movie theaters offer drive-in movies now too.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Good experience.
Yeah, it's great. Dylan popped my drive-in cherry, and
wow. Yeah.
It was a special time.
Yeah. Went to see a double feature of the worst of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies.
Yep.
And Men in Black International.
Yeah, I was not awake for Men in Black International. I made it through the Spider-Man film, and it started, and I just couldn't do it. But that sounds like some off-mic conversations of reminiscing.
All right. You want to get us out of here, Andrew?
With all that being said, we will be back next week to cover episode 258, Aloha Oi, Part 3. Thank you guys for listening, and bye.
And remember, God loves you very much.
God made you special, and he loves you very much.
All right. We're done. I'm pulling the plug.